What is going on, everybody? This is Raj from Eastside Rage. I have to say Silent Hill 2 Remake went through a lot through its development cycle. From delays to skepticism to valid criticism, and some that weren't really valid. They were just mostly negative for no reason. It seemed like the game would just flop, and Konami lost their touch, and their Bloober team would not get it done despite their track record. But Konami and Bloober team actually did the opposite. And I am proud to admit that Silent Hill 2 Remake is a badass modernized horror game. It didn't cut corners or cut anything substantial. And I have to be honest, it does raise above its predecessor. Shoot me if you want, but for me it's better than It's better than Silent Hill 2 from 2001, and I love that game. And yeah, and I know people are saying, oh, it's a DEI game, it's this game, it's woke. No, fuck those motherfucking morons. They are clowns. They're just fucking trying to bomb the game. They didn't play it. No, it's anything but that. It is not woke. It doesn't push anything on that. It's an awesome remade horror game that fans new and old would enjoy. So let's just get right into the review. For those that don't know about Silent Hill 2, the game takes place in the 80s and 70s, probably the 90s. You play as James Sunderland, a young man who gets a letter from his deceased wife, Mary, in a town called Silent Hill. As he arrives, he quickly notices something isn't right with the town at all. There are hardly any people, fog is everywhere, and is crawling with several monsters and everything like that. The town appears to be haunted. As James progresses through Silent Hill, he must find clues to find his wife and later confront his guilt and stop trying to run from his past mistakes. That's what really it's about. It seems simple, but it does it right. The remake follows the plot perfectly with new voices and, dialogue options here and there. It beats the pants off the Silent Hill HD collection, of which a lot of fans don't want to talk about. Hey, if you can't get, off topic, if you can't get the one for PS2 because I know it's expensive, just get the one, get the HD collection. It's not that bad. It's not broken. You could just get that. You just play it with the original voices. But anyway, it has, has all the same, set of class of side characters, and it follows them down to a T. They do it well. Got Mary Sunderland, she's James's wife, as I said before, who, as he says, got taken away from sickness. Laura, a little girl who once knew Mary when she was hospitalized. Angela Roscoe, a young lady who suffered from sexual abuse from her parents. Eddie Dombrowski, a young obese man who has insecurities about his weight and is very cowardly up until later. And then, spoiler, I'ma just let you know, spoiler, you want to skip ahead, I'll let you know when to skip ahead. Clap my hand 3 times. Maria is, a physical manifestation of James' sexual frustrations that resembles what he wishes deep down, his wife to be: healthy, hot, and very seductive. Okay, for those that didn't want to hear, the spoilers on Maria, I already talked about it. I ain't gonna go into details. But yeah, the game doesn't, as some people are trying to push, it does not rewrite characters, and it doesn't pull any punches. For me, it feels improved. They feel like, more like humans, thanks to better actors and motion capture technology. Gameplay is back to basics, like grounded survival horror in a way, psychological horror, but in a modernized way. While taking inspiration of the Resident Evil remakes, it isn't a carbon copy and has the Silent Hill flow to it. And while I won't say it's better than the Resident Evil remakes, all except 3, yeah, it's better than 3. It has, it managed to stay more faithful than 2 and even 4, honestly. I'm gonna be honest, and I love them a lot. And it doesn't cut hardly anything. I can't even think of something they cut. They just take something and put it in another area, make it a little better. As you arrive in Silent Hill, you will need to explore, solve puzzles, gain resources, key items, and kill enemies in your way. Kill enemies or avoid them in your way to progress. That's what the gameplay is. Sounds simple, but due to the game's horrifying and disturbing tone atmosphere, it knocks it out of the park. The game is so creepy, I feel like there's somebody right next to me at all times. The game's exploration has been improved, so well, going around Silent Hill, there are buildings you wouldn't even, there are buildings you couldn't enter before the original game. Side missions so you can learn more about the lore of the town. Of course, you get to use your map a lot because the game is full of thick fog and dark areas. You're gonna need to use it. It also, like I said, I didn't say that, but it didn't cut a single level at all. It did not, and it made them longer. No diddy. However, I felt at some point, they drag it out a little, to be honest. Even if you're not trying to 100% it, let me just try to explain it. I do like the game, but Jesus Christ, it's like for example, you're in the fucking hospital, I'm doing all these puzzles and everything, in the original, it'll take you maybe an hour, probably an hour and a half. The remake, it took me 3.5 hours to get out of there because there was so many things, that I had to do, so many things that I had to try to get to or whatever. You're first on the third floor, you drop down to go up to the third, down to the second, down to the first, you're all over the place. It's not bad, it's just, you got a lot of stuff, and don't even get me started on the, labyrinth area, if I'm saying it right. Yeah, that spinning skull was a pain in the ass, and going through all those levels. But anyway, moving on. Like I said, I do like it, but sometimes I wish they would just get to the point. Alright, it's interesting, but it's a little dull, and it can be repetitious. Alright, as for that, there's also puzzles, of course, which are really clever and also can be really difficult depending on which difficult you put it on. They return all puzzles, new and old ones, with a nice spin. Some add new challenges to figure out, to figure out the puzzles like the lockbox, in the hospital, and some, come back, that allow you to explore other areas like the labyrinth. Not my favorite level, but it was good, honestly, and like I said, it can be a pain in the ass, but after all, it is Silent Hill. What do you expect? It's full of puzzles. Now the combat. The combat has been improved. It's seen some improvements as well. Dodging is now there, along with swings from, a wood plank or a pipe. Big pause again. I'm sorry, can't help myself. But yeah, from this pipe or whatever, and it looks like James is actually trying to fight for his life. And there's also still guns, you have a handgun, a shotgun, a rifle, of which all has to be found. The shooting is pretty decently, not Resident Evil's level, but it works, honestly. And as for the people who are saying James is now this buffed up Resident Evil character, please shut the fuck up. What the fuck are you talking about? No, he swings like a madman. He's firing a gun. There are people with no fucking military experience that can fire weapons and shit like that. Come on, no, trying to say that because the combat has been improved and trying to say the game's not combat. The game's always had combat. There was a combat trailer from 2001. They give you plenty of ammo throughout the world, weapons and stuff like that. It is your option. Stop pretending like that. I don't want to sound like an elitist prick, but yeah, I never thought I'd say this, but it really separates the real friends from the fake friends when you could tell who knows what they're talking about. But let me move on. All enemies have been returned and are, even scarier. They have special attacks that can take most of your health away. And if you don't pay attention to the light, flashing and that's how they'll take it away, honestly. Well, most of the way. Yeah, but kind of stumbled on that line, but you probably get what I mean. Now, yeah, I would say, well, probably the scariest enemy out of the nurses, straight jackets, and the abstract daddy. I think that's what abstract daddy. That's probably a boss, but that one is annoying, honestly. But I'm gonna get to that later. I would say the mannequins, because they're very good at hiding. The radio doesn't go off when they, are hiding. They're like stalkers from The Last of Us. Although I don't like jump scares because I find them lazy. The game sets a quiet, dark tone or whatever, so I could give them a pass on that. They do it right. And the bosses, well, not the hardest aside from aside from the bosses like being terrifying, and if you let them, they can wipe away your health bar with the quickness. Bro, nigga, you gotta do what you gotta do, and this is where dodging and getting away becomes very essential. They also give, new in-game mechanics. Combat mechanics for bosses. For the bosses, they also have. Well, the last boss has 3 phases, honestly, and those game mechanics features, honestly, they have it set up for a more modernized gaming approach, and it works, honestly. Even though the bosses aren't the best, I would say they're not bad. They're decent. I can't say I didn't like fighting them. I would say the problem with the combat and enemies lies within the auto lock feature and facing multiple different types of enemies at once, to be honest. What else? Yeah, and also being in a confined space with them when you're fighting them. Jesus Christ. Although it's not as fuck with no Vaseline as Callisto Protocol, it's still fucking annoying. James just snaps to the enemy he's in front of with no regard that there's an enemy beside him about to mollywop the shit out of his fucking ass. Jesus. And you know how dark it is, so you won't be able to see another enemy coming up through the next minute. And don't get me started on I don't know if it's the abstract, I forgot what it's called, but those things that are on the bottom and everything that crawl on gates, you can't hit them, you can't kill them, so you gotta run and just freaking dodge. And the fact that enemies can follow you just about anywhere just doesn't help. Your best bet is to keep moving and get rid of all of them, or just keep running until you enter a save room or room where you need to get to so they can't follow you anymore. The music, it's pretty much the same, and that's not a problem, because the music in the original Silent Hill was terrifying. It sets you on edge. It helps build the tone, the tension. It's like I said earlier, that's the sound design, but it's just freaking incredible. Even when it's not scary and it's really sad, you actually feel for the characters when something bad really happens. In the sound design, it's just very, very terrifying. From the doors opening to footsteps to you hearing the radio staticking to you hearing monsters and everything, to even sometimes you'll hear people scream throughout the prison, and sometimes the Lakeview Hotel, Toluca Prison or the Lakeview Hotel, you would something, like I said earlier, it was like somebody was always sitting next to me, honestly, or right behind me. Every time somebody opened the door, I would freak out on stream, to tell me something. One of my brothers that lived with me, bro, that's how crazy it is. Games polish and optimization. While it's not broken, they could have did a little bit more better. It has a few graphical glitches, especially with the leaves or whatever. It's you can see them. It's the leaves are dragging or whatever, and you can see it stuttering. And when something's big's about to happen, or there's more enemies, game will start, dropping down frames or whatever. I didn't run into a game-breaking glitch or whatever, a few glitches of enemies getting stuck on furniture and everything, or enemies just, detecting me from outside of a room and, trying to get into a room that they can't get into, but it didn't work. But yeah, it's not a problem, but like I said, with its optimization, that's really the problem there. They should fix it. It just does look a little atrocious. And graphically, and as for graphics, the game, it looks pretty good. It doesn't look the best, but it looks really good, They actually took their time on the character models and the environments, They put it together, and, it definitely looked like what it's supposed to be, a modernized Silent Hill 2. I like the way it looks. But anyway, let's move on to the verdict. Silent Hill 2 Remake is a fantastic game, despite what people tried to make it seem like upon its release, and still are making it seem like somehow. Those who, I guess, haven't played the game, Bloober Team and Konami totally knocked it out of the park. They did what they had to do. It's horrifying. It's fun to play. It has tense moments and memorable characters. And that is why I'm rating it a fucking 9 out of fucking 10. And it is a must buy in my opinion. Yes, I loved it all the way through and through. Yes, it drags out. Yes, it's a little repetitious. But, a lot of love, a lot of care went into it. And yes, the people who remade it clearly are fans of the original. And I'm glad to say I experienced it. I almost teared up at the end. Almost. But anyway, don't take my word for it. Honestly, if my review isn't enough for you, you could go check out other reviewers. Okay, I mean, not gonna really knock them off, but I don't got time here. Yeah, but I would say, don't fuck with IGN. They're idiots. I seen what they did with Dragon Age. They smoking crack, but whatever. But anyway, or, like I said, you can just pick up the game. Your choice. But anyway, this is Eastside Rage signing out. Keep raging out, and I'll catch you on the next stream.